Hi, my name is Patrick Vaughn, and I'm from Louisville, Kentucky.
Good.
You are too indulgent. Let's grant it is not amiss to tumble on the bed of Ptolemy, to give a kingdom for a mirth, to sit and keep the turn of tippling with a slave, to reel the streets at noon and stand the buffet with knaves that smells of sweat. Say this becomes him, as his composure must be rare indeed, whom these things cannot blemish. Yet must Antony no way excuse his foils when we do bear so great weight in his likeness. If he filled his vacancy with his voluptuousness, full surfeits and the dryness of his bones call on him for it. But to confound such time as drums him from his sport and speaks as loud as his own state and ours, 'tis to be chid. As we rate boys who, being mature of knowledge, pawn their experience to their present pleasure, and so rebel to judgment. Let his shames quickly drive him to Rome. Sir, it is the king's most sweet pleasure and affection to congratulate the princess at her pavilion in the posteriors of this day, which the rude multitude call the afternoon. Sir, the king is a noble gentleman, and my familiar, I do assure ye, very good friend. For what is inward between us, let it pass. I do beseech thee, remember thy courtesy. I do beseech thee, apparel thy head, and, among other importunate and most serious designs, but let that pass. For I must tell thee, that it will please his grace by the world sometimes to lean upon my poor shoulder, and with his royal finger thus to dally with my excrement, with my mustachio. But, sweetheart, let that pass. By the world, I recount no fable. Some certain special honors it pleaseth his greatness to impart to Armado, a soldier, a man of travel that hath seen the world, but let that pass. The very all of all is. But, sweetheart, I do implore secrecy, that the king would have me present the princess, sweet Chuck, with some delightful ostentation, or show, or pageant, or antic, or firework. Now, understanding that the curate and your sweet self are good at such eruptions and sudden breaking out of mirth, as it were, I have acquainted you withal to the end to beg your assistance. You're joking, surely. In exactly 30 minutes, I have an interview for a job at the AP. Not the A&P, the AP. The Associated Press? Do you mean to say that it is your intention to actually come to blows, knowing full well that on July 16th I complete a 3-year course in Oriental combat? Okay, Andy. Just so long as you know the score. I've been waiting 6 months to try this in a real-life situation. I was hoping that my first victim would be a mugger, but you'll do nicely. Oh, and I'm obligated to warn you that karate is hazardous to your health. Is that how you're gonna stand? You don't know the first thing that you're doing. You won't last 10 seconds. Look, can I show you the 4 basic positions? I'm still gonna break your neck, but at least you'll look better. All right, Andy, I am through toying with you. I'm gonna give you 1 chop, and then I've gotta go.
Hi. So, what's your name?
My name is Patrick Vaughn.
And where are you from, Patrick?
Louisville, Kentucky, born, raised, and currently living there after a brief stint in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay. What were you doing in Indianapolis?
I earned my equity membership candidacy card in a production of Cabaret up there at Actors Theater, Indiana.
Oh, what did you do? What part did you play?
I played Ernst, who, if you know the show, is revealed at the end of the first act as a secret Nazi operative, which was a very interesting part to be playing in this current climate.
Yeah. All right. So, what's your educational background?
I have a Bachelor of Arts in Music with an emphasis in musical theater. Was the last person to graduate from the University of Louisville with that degree, last by a couple of hours. It's a long story. So while I was there, I got to experience a little bit of the best of both worlds, including my first Shakespeare, but we'll come back to that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, and then what was your experience? Let's go ahead and ask that now. So what is your experience with Shakespeare?
My first Shakespeare was a university production of Troilus and Cressida. This was in 2003, just when the Iraq War was starting. So again, very interesting timing. I got to play, in the second act, I was Diomedes, who is this fierce, handsome Greek warrior. And in the first act, I got to play Helen of Troy, who was none of those things, but they were equally challenging. Diomedes was fun. Helen was work.
So then, and what Shakespeare have you done since then? Just to quickly list some.
I have the only time I've been on stage doing Shakespeare since then. Well, it wasn't Shakespeare, but similar style. I did Marlowe's Edward II with Savage Rose Classical Theater here in Louisville, and since then I've taken some classes with Nashville Shakespeare Festival. And always looking forward to an opportunity to flex those muscles again.
Yeah. Did you do any work with Zan Sawyer-Late?
I did take some classes with Zan Sawyer-Daly, who is the recently retired associate director and former casting director at Actors Theater Louisville, and who for years taught a very helpful class in monologue study and relaxation techniques.
Okay, and then what was did you have any other postgraduate acting?
I've done mostly musicals, some opera, but I've been trying to sort of branch out into straight and classical theater as well. Mm-hmm. I love Shakespeare. I think my favorite is probably The Merchant of Venice. Controversial choice, I know. But I think there's more to it than anti-Semitism.
Yeah. All right, and then what's your training beyond college?
Well, of course, I took the monologue study classes with Zan and with Renee Milan at Nashville Shakespeare Festival. I studied Meisner with Marissa Gavami, who was a protege of William Esper. And I took a workshop with Joanna Merlin, who was a student of Michael Chekhov, one of the last remaining students who personally studied with him, who is still teaching. And I currently study Linkletter voice technique and acting with Drew Pilmer, who studied with Kristen Linkletter, and who is a designated Linkletter instructor.
Yeah, it's a lot of L's.
It's a lot of L's.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.